somebody said the best to me, and they asked like, how's your year going? I'm like, it's been tough, right? We've listed, like right now we have 13 listings. Like we're not seeing a lot of buyers. It's hard. And somebody said this way, they're like, you're working 2 or 3 times the amount to get the same result. When sometimes you try to give people advice and stuff too, they take it personally. I'm like, we're not attacking you, bro. We're trying to help. And sometimes I'll preface that and I'll say, do you want some of my advice? I can give you like kind of tips if you want. I've offered to take people for lunch and stuff too. Like, say like, listen, like I'll take you to lunch and we can look into your business and see what you're doing wrong here. Because if you continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to have a business next year. You can't micromanage people. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Like I think people resent that, right? And it's just, remember, people don't leave jobs, they leave leaders, right? And you got to remember that.
Welcome back, everybody. This is that time of the year. It's the end of the year episode. And, I thought this would be a great opportunity for us both of us just review our years, and you also share how yours went. I know like in the real estate sense of things, it was a little bit of a challenge from the moments we've had the conversation from. Like,
it was a tough year for us all. Like everybody. It's a grinding year. Like, and I'm still, hopefully we'll see the next couple of days, because like as we're recording this, the year's not end. I still may have like cash flow, like I still have my second best year. Right now it's my third. I might have if I bang out a couple sales this week, which hopefully we will, I might have my second best year. But I don't want to say that. I feel bad because other realtors that I know, like they're struggling hard. Like there's people that I know that are realtors, they had to get like second jobs, man. Like there's a friend of mine, like she was making like hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s. She barely made like $40,000 this year. And then there's some people who are doing pre-construction that if the projects don't close and your payout, if they don't close, if you got paid that commission, you got to pay back all that commission. And these guys can't do that. It's, somebody said the best to me, and they asked like, how's your year going? I'm like, it's been tough, right? We've listed, like right now we have 13 listings. Like we're not seeing a lot of buyers. It's hard. And somebody said this way, they're like, you're working 2 or 3 times the amount to get the same result. And that's what I feel this year, right? Like those other years, those 13 listings, I'm like, would have been blown out, right? Like would have been like, oh, no problem, right? Like maybe a month or something, like within a month, like we're doing price drops, we're changing things, we're doing open houses. And this year was just like, wow, it's just like sometimes just people were not budging. Like we had open houses and over a weekend and we barely had one person walk through. I did an open house close to my house, and like the first weekend I had 2 people come through. 2. And we were priced low. And I was like, what is going on? Right? It is just a very odd. It's been an odd year this year for that, right? And I am very blessed. I'm grateful. What keeps my head, like, exactly. I thank God every single day because I'm doing something I love. We talked about my doctor, Kaniping. He said, like, what is the sense of happiness? He's like, well, do something you're good at, something you love to do, and also something you can't live without. And those are people that are satisfied and will be happy. Sure, don't get me wrong. Like my job gets tiring, and I feel for my clients because when things aren't selling and like what they're expecting to sell, I'm very empathetic to that too. Like I take that to bed with me at night. It's like it affects me, right? And I put myself in their shoes. I'm not just sitting there like smoking cigars and drinking booze and say, oh, too bad for you, right? Like no, it's like it's a struggle, and I think and I feel that, right? So I thank God I'm in the position that that I'm able to help these people, because if it wasn't me, maybe they got one of those guys that was like that to them, and they would just have a crappy experience. And that's just how that just drives me to make sure that A, that I'm fulfilling God's will doing that to you. B, I'm helping as many people as they possibly can. And if things aren't sound, we're talking them through the process and making sure their stress level isn't high as well.
When you realized it was a tough year, right? When you started to feel that resistance, the friction of this might not be like my best way of my the past performances I've had might not be the same as they were before. I had to readjust. What are some of the things that you did to readjust and recalibrate to be like, okay, for me to be an A player this year for my clients and give them the best, these are the behaviors I have to implement, or maybe not implement, but amplify even more to get back on track. So what are those things?
You know, I don't think it would like amplify their desires. Like I just had to be present a lot. Like I do that a
You have
lot.
to be locked in.
You have to be locked in.
Yeah.
And Elise comes here too. Like having Elise back on the team has been huge. Like even Chris Kukoc, we talk about Chris is actually technically part of it. At least you say he's almost like part of the team now, right? Like he's like even though he's not, he calls himself an associate of the team. He's like he's not technically a DC. Like we don't really have we have a loose team, right? We're not like, you know, but he's part of the club, right? And having him here has really, really helped. And having Elisa, even Chris said to me, he goes, you know, we loved having Julia doing that stuff, but Elise it's such a role. It's like it made things easier and more efficient. It was just having her takes a lot off my plate, and having guys like Chris and then Lori just joined us as well. Like and we're helping Kelly Chong, helping her as well. Like and Wojtek has been here. Like I mentor them now on Tuesdays. We've implemented every Tuesday coming in here. Like everybody's kind of set and doing their thing. So we're able to discuss on Tuesdays what everybody's role is going to be.
Strategic stuff.
So very strategic stuff has been, I think that's been a real game changer for us because nobody's going to be left in the past, you know, that's sort of left behind. Like there's no one that's not going to have, you know, some sort of fingerprints from me on them, you know, like, you know, like, and I still try to be everywhere at all times. But like, for example, yesterday, like things just got tied up. I can go out to Milton for my new listing. So Chris is like, hey, listen, I'll go pick up your feature sheets and just get everything for print. So Elise and I figured everything over here at the office. We sent it to the office to print. He went, picked it up and dropped it off for us, put up some signs. It was a beautiful thing. You know, it saved me hours, you know, like, and I was able to, you know, focus my attention on another listing. You know, it just helped. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, and I think when I came here one time for one of our meetings, I really saw the collaboration, the camaraderie, and everything like that. I got to meet Wojtek. By the way, I love that name, Wojtek.
Yes,
sounds like a tech name, you know, Wojtek.
Yeah, he's like the second or third Wojtek I knew, and first time I thought they were joking because I was thinking when I was a kid it was like Voltron, right? We had Voltron, remember the cartoon novel, and I was like, is that your real name? It was like the coolest thing. That's the coolest. Like you're almost like Voltron. You're like a robot, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like but no, he's like it's great having him too. He brings a little. It's good having different people here as well because it kind of brings a sense of reality to our workplace as well. Like to understand that not everybody is in the same boat and not everybody's doing exactly the same well. Not everybody's killing it this year. There's other struggles, right? So sometimes I think with realtors, first of all, it's a very lonely business. So our office has been done a very good job trying to connect us with like-minded people and other people in the same kind of, you know, like sales or something that's the same like goal sets. And like, so for example, like I'm in the leaders group. I think we mentioned this before, and we're top earners and like, so our struggle is a little bit different than somebody else. Yeah. But sometimes when you're talking just with top earners, you don't realize that like not the rest of the market is like that. Not other people are like that. So it's not like it's grounded. It's good to talk with other agents, say like, no, their struggles. And I'm like, holy shit, how can I help? You know, because I do that all the time. Like, hey, you know, like, so some agents, I say like, listen, you want to promote my listings? Go for it. You want to help me to help you open houses? If I know if I can send you some lease leads or things like that, like we've been trying to help them as much as we possibly can. It also helps to be in their brokerage, right? Because there's no conflict of interest there, right?
Yeah.
But having that group of mentorship we do on Tuesdays here kind of tells you about different struggles and kind of brings you like kind of back to grassroots, like why do we do this and how can we help? So it's not just helping ourselves, lining our pocket. It's like how can we give back?
Yeah. And when you observe that, right? What I find interesting is when you're around top earners and top performers, and then you have people who are struggling, we can all say they're probably doing all the same activity. Right? They're probably,
but no, not all
maybe.
of them. So you know, I will cut you off there and say, and I don't mean to be in a rude way, but no, none of them aren't. And they're like, they're trying to figure out, navigate, because what they've done in the past, everybody runs their business very differently, right? And some people rely just basically for things to fall in their lap, and some people weren't doing for social media. There's certain avenues which they've done in the past, which no longer works.
Gotcha.
So, like for example, I have a friend of mine, he just do pre-construction, like 90% of it is pre-con. And I just talked to him now, like Varun, we talked to Varun, you remember Varun. And we're at the office the other day, he goes, I don't really do any, like his whole thing used to be pre-con. He goes, I had to pivot. The struggles when people are seeing the struggles not happening, so they're not pivoting.
They don't switch it up.
They're not switching. And
They don't have anything else in their
if you
playbook.
can't adapt, it's like this market, this is good for us as realtors because it shows like your stripes. You know what I mean? Like, how can you persevere through this? What can you do to change? How can I make this better? The other time this happened was the pandemic, right?
I remember you mentioned that you had to switch up. Like you actually saw it as an opportunity to
Huge opportunity. Revamp the business.
Revamp the business. You did something
Revamp the
with your
websites, revamp all the processes, what we're giving to our clients, how we're interacting, adding different aspects. Because I wasn't doing as much of the 360 tours because I thought some people complaining. Now our packages are much better. The videos we're trying to be like how we're getting engagement is different. Like where we're paying our advertisement money. Like things are constantly changing, right? Like and adapting to how people are viewing things, right? Like, so that changed during the pandemic, and that allowed us, I think, right, at least the change now too. Like we keep adapting, and like, she'll come up to me and say something like, "Hey, remember when reels? Like, you can't do these reels anymore. They're too long.
They're too extra.
They're too extra. Yeah. You can do one out of like, so I remember record like 6 or 7 a week, like one per day, right? And she's like, you can't do those. Too long. Can you get them to 30 seconds? I'm like, dude, remember you asked me to do 30 seconds? I'm like, I can fucking say anything in 30 seconds. You've met me.
Of course, you're a chatty guy.
So to do something in 30 seconds, I'm like, damn, like, God,
But that's an opportunity to reinvent yourself. And
exactly.
get more, right?
So I've been trying
concise.
I've been trying to be more concise.
Yeah.
We had another, like I use Adam a lot for Vision 360 a lot. And then we had another guy named Daniel who did a couple of our, like some of my clients requested that he would do them because and he's great. I liked him. But he also added things. He kept cutting me down. He's like, too long. Adam lets me talk. And he's just like, because Adam and I were just like, we can just, and Daniel's like, nope. Between me and Lauren, he's like, make this shorter. So that also helped me adapt. I'm like, sometimes you need to bring in somebody else to say, you're talking too much.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to switch it up. And sometimes when you switch it up, you actually realize how much stronger you are in a different direction
Absolutely.
than what you were doing before.
Well, the other thing is I could have sat back and said, I know what I'm doing. Don't you tell me what to do. I'm paying you, not the other way around. I was like, oh, okay. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Like, I've never taken that advice. When sometimes you try to give people advice and stuff too, they take it personally. I'm like, we're not attacking you, bro. We're like, we're trying to help. And sometimes I'll preface that. I'll say, do you want some of my advice? I can give you like kind of tips if you want. I've offered to take people for lunch and stuff too. Like, and I'll say like, listen, like I'll take you to lunch and we can look into your business and see what you're doing wrong here. Because if you continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to have a business next year.
Yeah.
Not too many people take me up on that. I'm paying for their lunch and their booze probably too, because I'll have a couple of drinks, a couple of glasses of wine while we do this.
Sometimes you need. I even remember when we had when we came over here to like chat about our process with the pod and everything. As you, Elise, and I, like it was like that was an opportunity for growth for me, right? At the moment, like you can be like, oh man, that sucks, whatever. Like they're not hearing me out and whatever. But when you reflect and be like, you know what, I could have done this better. I could have done this. I could have done XYZ better. And you actually end up having an appreciation because a lot of people don't have the folks on their side who are going to keep it real with them. And if you don't have those people going to keep it real with you, they're not really going to grow, right? But first,
like the yes man, having a yes man beside you all the time is the worst thing in the world. And there's like, that's where you see people crumble. It's like, well, how come nobody told you? How come nobody told you your fly was down the whole time?
If your breath stinks or something like that, or you're like,
oh God, if my breath stunk, I would love something like I pay for this special mouthwash so it doesn't stink. If it starts, I'll get something else, man. Like, come on, help a brother out.
They say the key to a bad breath is like people don't floss enough
or take shits.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
That's not a joke, guys. This is not a joke. If you are not regular,
moving the bowels,
because it comes out of your mouth, and it's like I've known this personally. I remember my mom and stuff. She used to have bad breath because sometimes we go on vacation. She would go to the bathroom. Sorry, Mom. And like, you could smell by the end. I'm like, Mom, I can smell it on your breath. You know what I mean? It's dry. And but I'm telling you, the more regular also helps. Yeah. So there's this mouthwash. I don't know if we talk about this, but it's called Smart Mouth or something too. Again, they don't pay me to do this. And I went to I don't love flossing. I could do it like occasionally. But I remember started using this stuff, and then my dentist, like my what do they call them, the dental assistants, or the techs, the ones that actually clean your teeth. And she's like, "You've been flossing?" I'm like, "No, I just started using mouthwash." She goes, "Give me the name of that mouthwash. Look at the difference, right? Because it attacks it, right? Like I got gaps between my teeth, so I don't, there's only certain like areas too, but it really affects the gum line, and because I do it twice a day, and I got to like really hard on it." She's like, it's been noticeably different. And again, that affects bad breath.
I guess you say you're full of shit when
You're so bad. You're not. You're so full of shit. You're like, can smell your breath,
Yeah.
or your breath smells so bad. I look forward to your farts.
One more question in regards to real estate before I move on to another segment, which is like on the personal side of things. How did you grow as a leader in this period? Because you have Wojtek, you have Lori, you have Crew
Chris.
Coach back. Elise has been a godsend now that she's back full time, being more of the anchor within the office. What are some of the challenges you encountered being a leader, managing people and trying to empower them, especially Lori being new in the business, Wojtek in here, Chris having
Constantly telling them,
ups and downs he's had with his personal life?
yeah. I constantly tell them, I'm like, you're doing a good job. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't do enough to Chris. I think Chris, because Chris and I talk a lot. So it's like, I don't always, like Lori in the beginning, it was like, she came into an industry where she's an overachiever. And I was giving her leads and they weren't working out. They're leads. And she was like, and she was almost getting mad. I'm like, almost crying. I'm like, well, what's her problem? She was like, well, in the car industry, when you got leads, I would close them. I'm like 90% closing rate. And I'm like, I'm getting 0%. I'm like, Lori, like, first of all, you're entering one of the hardest markets we've ever been in.
And you're a rookie.
And you're a rookie. Exactly. And I'm like, the process will start to work out. Just keep on, kiss a lot of frogs. You're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs. Never, everybody gets in the industry. They make like, $200,000 in the first year. Like, it just doesn't happen, especially in this market. And I explained, like, there are people that have had to get second jobs now, like, or jobs because the real estate is dried up because they're not doing the things that you are doing. So in the beginning, she was doing the video, and she still is doing the videos and doing open houses and trusting the process. And I had to come back. I had to call her, and I'm like, I love you. I know. And like, I'm here for you. If you need help, I'm like, but it was just constant encouragement, letting them know, like, it's not just you. Like, and I'm like, look, and I also share what we're doing with the industry and how we're having struggles with our sales. So, and I'm like, guys, it's not just you. So that also gives them a looking glass into, hey, even if we get to this level, it doesn't mean everything goes away.
Yeah.
It's more money, more problems, right? It's just the reality of it. So having those weekly things, I'm like, so now we ask when, like, I think we talk, I'm like, what are your struggles this week? What did you find was a hardship? Orating that allows them to bring it from the back of your mind to the front. They think about it. I'm like, okay, what can we do to change that? And it's like by committee, right? So I think being a leader on there is being not always about me. It's like, how can we help? I think by committee. And Chris has like, we'll send there, he'll have some great insights. And sometimes Lori will just talk to Chris. And she's like, yeah, I was helping Lori. I'm like, I thought I was the leader of here. It's okay. He goes, no, I guided her. It was great. You were busy. So we did this. So having other people to help to give other insights, not always trying to control everything. And I'm trying to, Lisa will ask me like a lot of times, like, what do you want me to do this? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to do? She goes, I think we should post this or do this. And I'm like, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Like it's
like you have the trust in them to be able to
execute.
execute.
Like you have to, like, you can't micromanage people. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work that way. Like, I think people resent that, right? It's just, remember, people don't leave jobs, they leave leaders, right? And you got to remember that. And it's, I always have a lot of room of improvement. I would hope Elise would kick me in the nuts whenever things are not right, like going right. I'm just like push back. I'm hoping Coach would talk to me or Lori and say, hey, I didn't like that. Like we were making fun of her yesterday. Like she was in Zoom and her poor daughter's been sick and her husband wore masks in the house. And I started laughing at her and I'm like, we're all like, that doesn't help you. Like we were just pushing back at her. And then we started making fun of her phone because she's the only one that has a Samsung. We all have iPhones. And then I just messaged her last night. I said, we make fun of you because we love you, right?
Yeah.
We're just joking. She goes, yeah, I know. I'm like, listen, like we didn't make fun of you. It means we don't love you.
Yeah.
That's
when people tease you and like bust your balls, that means they're so comfortable around you that they and I know, and I remember early on, like when we first met, like you were all over Alex and I was just like, why? It's because I think you feel so comfortable. You can just like, what? These guys can take it. I can dish it and they can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of you took it a little bit better than the other, but anyway, the one that's still here.
Shifting to the personal side of things, right? 2024 has been like the year of like revelations on culture, music, everything, you name it, right?
I think people are opening their eyes in a lot of things.
Yeah. What has been the biggest surprise for you when observing society this year?
I'm surprised that Donald Trump won.
You surprised?
In a good way. I thought so. Listen, I was surprised that Donald Trump won, not because I think he was the right person for the job because of that, and because between the two of them, there was just a clear-cut winner. But it was good to see like how I was surprised how many votes he actually got, because when you're other places, you hear other people like, you know, like especially in Canada, like they were just like against Trump and all this other stuff. So I was really just like surprised, right? I think that was a big surprise. Another big surprise, which wasn't a surprise to me, was, you know, all these things happening and people opening up their eyes about, you know, what's happening in Hollywood and with the Diddy things, and like, but no names are actually getting released. And when the names get released, nothing happens.
Yeah.
I was kind of not surprised in that kind of situation. Like, I'm surprised how many people now are starting to open up to the conspiracy theories we talked about before.
Yes.
Whether it's like, were there facts about how the vaccines weren't good for us, and we've been talking about that for the longest time, but yet now medical facts are coming out and they're showing that things aren't good to that. So it's a good surprise that people that are like, okay, and I'm also surprised that no one talks about it, right? It's just like, you just kind of shove it under the rug and nobody wants. Even my friends that are unvaccinated, and they're all like, and then we're like, we sent them an article. They're like, I just don't want to hear it anymore. So, you know, there's a lot of like those kinds of surprises, right? Yeah, and I think that, and personally for the business, I was surprised how many listings I can actually handle at once. Yeah. It's been a juggling act, you know, and I think it's going to make us stronger. And it's like, yeah, it's also helping the business, right? They're able to like, yeah, I can do all that, and having buyers and all that. You never know what you can handle until he gives it to you, right? And the whole saying is like, God only gives you what you can handle. And it was a lot this year. At some points, like we were going in, like I told Dr. Knipping last meeting, I'm like, my numbers may be a little bit off. I drank a lot last week. I was drinking like every day some days. And he's like, is this a confessional? He goes, your numbers actually aren't that bad. And I was like, I'm just telling you, my weight went up a little bit. And like my body fat went up, like I'm still under 20%, right? Which is great. Still under 18. Like, and I was like, but I went up from the quarter because I knew what it was. I was like, Doc, there was literally days I was drinking every day. And it was just like, cause I get home from work and I was exhausted. And I'm like, it's not an excuse. I need to change that. It's one thing I do want to change. And then like this week I'm trying not to drink and all that, but there goes some weeks, but there's some weeks you just get home and it's like, I just need a scotch, right? It was just,
you just need to wet the beak
or
a little
tequila.
bit.
Yeah. It was just like something just to take the edge off.
Yes.
Right. And it's not like you're pounding.
But
But there are some nights, and I'm like, the scotch tasted so good. And I don't even go to bed, and I go back to and I wake up at 6:15 to pray with my mom
you
and
see an
Chris.
empty bottle.
Yeah,
See an empty decanter.
I did that a couple of times, and I was like, there was no point. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Like, and I had to give my head a shake a little bit here, but I still got up, I still worked out, I still all did all the thing, and I wasn't too
Kept the same routine.
Kept the same routine because I'm accountable in that kind of sense, which is good. But you know. I think one of the things in review is like, don't let it get off the rails. Don't do that again. Like it just be like, you know, like Dr. K was saying, he goes, okay to drink, you know, have a bottle of wine, drink a couple glasses on Friday, a couple glasses on Saturday. And then I'm like, for the whole week? I was like, I'm like, Doc, there's some cities we drink 3 or 4 bottles of wine and like for dinner. You know, it's a little bit different, but.
So those are the things that surprise you, right? But what are some things that you inherently knew, but they got confirmed this year? And you're like, I knew it, I told you. And now everyone's like, I'm like, I mean, there's something I already knew, but what are some of those things that got confirmed to you this year?
That Oprah's the devil.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but I'm not, because now like those with Ellen DeGeneres, I know we keep going back to celebrities, but there's things I've been talking about how, you know, with Taylor Swift coming out, doing all the satanic rituals and all that, and people think I was crazy. I'm like, no, like there's people having that. Like there's Oprah Oliver, some of the people that are confirmed about that coming to show that she's not a good person. Same thing with Ellen DeGeneres, and those were confirmed to me. It was like, I've told you people all this kind of stuff too. I think there was that. There was other people, like I would say for the market wise, I was like, you know, things were struggling, like, and it was confirmed to me, like I've told people, like, just keep doing this, keep pushing out. You're going to have a good year. You're going to have a good year. And the ones that listened to me, like they said, yeah, we just continue. There's a couple of friends like Jennifer Bortles had a really good year, but there was ups and downs and stuff to happen. Like, you know, Chris is getting his momentum. Lori's had like, okay, now she's getting some momentum. So for real estate wise, yeah, like I think like that really, even in a down market, like my coach used to always say, my old coach would be like, always to say that it doesn't matter what type of market you're in, you just got to find the leads. And that was confirmed this year, right? Like, so you just might need more leads, but to get the same end result, but they're still out there. So don't use the market as an excuse. The market is going to market. So I've been preaching that as well. It's like, and this was when the year was like, see, even in this market where we had another terrible year we've had like for sales wise in the last 20 years, like last year and this year combined, it was like, it just continued, right? Yeah, confirmed that they were right.
Did you ever have any moments of doubt this year in yourself?
All the time.
Yeah.
God, like Chris and I was saying, like when I priced some properties and things weren't selling, I'm like, I'm usually bang on, I'm usually conservative, and things weren't selling. I'm like, like again, the market was mentally screwing with us, and it still is to this day. Like there's some properties I'm like, we're running the numbers, and I'm like, and mathematical sense, it says it should be selling for this, and it's not, and we're like, this doesn't make any sense. I can't go any lower. Even if I drop the price, it doesn't make any sense. Like we have that one house on Edgecroft. We were like the cheapest one out of the 5 in the area, and we're the best one, the largest one, and we're just under 3.3 million, and it should sell. The neighbor sold for just under 3.2, but ours was a better house, and so we probably should sell for 3.2. We had the range, we ran the numbers. We didn't get any. We haven't had any offers yet. Like it's some things just don't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, and we just keep saying like, respect the process. So I'm running our numbers, and I'm like, these, and at some point I'm like, even Chris and I were talking about it, and he's just like, it's kind of like a mind fuck, right? Because you start questioning, am I even know how to price things anymore?
And how do you deal with that internal dialogue when your mind goes into that place of doubt, when sometimes you can get into
this is why you have to have a good group of people to work that you can bounce ideas off of. Because otherwise, if I was in my silo and I sat by myself, self-doubt, like I would have been, I could have just crumbled, right? But with the leaders group, and we're hearing like everyone's going through the same struggles, and like, okay, it's not just me, and like some good friends of mine, I'm like, well, what are you seeing here? We would talk, and they're in the leader group, and then even the group we mentor here, like we're bouncing ideas. What do you guys think? Like, okay, so it wasn't just me that came up with this number. That's like, so what we'll do now is we'll do like CMAs, we call it competitive market analysis. So a property will come up for sale. I'm like, what do you guys think this is worth? It doesn't have to be like an in-depth analysis, but what do you guys think it's worth? And I'm like, okay, so my numbers wasn't too bad. It's like, so we bounce, and I don't know what I do without that now, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like going in that place, like sometimes even like when you're building a business, I've also been through that place, but I also have like my friends that I grew up with and who are also building their own agencies, but in different markets. They're more working with accountants.
Yeah.
But even though they're working on the same team, but we have the same Slack channel, which has also helped. But there's some times like where you can lose belief in what you're doing.
Of course.
Because you might not see the results or some things just might be not going your way. And you start questioning like, damn, like something's got to give. But it pays to have faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in what you're doing,
faith for the process,
and the service, and you have, because you can be like, we've done this before, like we can do it again, and it's just looking at that. As we work towards wrapping up, right?
Already, eh?
I mean,
I know we've already done 30 minutes. I know
30 minutes, right? How have you like furthered your relationship with God through this process and during these times of turbulence in your business? And we spoke about having like those dark moments when you're doubting, but how did you channel in that energy with God?
I'm still trying to channel it. Like I find the daily prayer, bringing my mom into the fold of reading the Bible with me, with Chris, is helping, because that helps. I give them my own perspective, and Chris is like, I never thought of it that way. He always like, I'm always looking, allow the Holy Spirit to open. Like we'll read something and he will reveal something to me, and I'm like, I never thought of that. And I'll orate it. I'll speak of what I thought about it. And it's like, it happened like, for example, yesterday we're reading about the Ark of the Covenant and putting it together. And it's like, we're going through these chapters of which they're just talking about like, well, why is it doing this? And why is he so specific? I'm like, well, think about it. Like if he's, and like they got this instruction from God, like think about your own body. Like, look how specifically every little thing in detail, like this God is detail oriented. Like he's showing that. And if you want to create this, he's showing you how to create this in case everything happens to this. But you'll also know by like if somebody ever finds it is the real Ark of the Covenant, you can go back to the Bible as a blueprint. It's like, well, did he follow the letter to the law that God told him, right? So those kinds of things, I think the prayer has really helped. And there's some times in which, I feel like, oh God, like, am I doing the right things that like I don't feel as close to him, and I try to bring that aspect out with other people and talk. Like I'm more open to talking to people and trusting in God and saying like, what I don't want to be is I'm always struggling with being that person that like a Pharisee who's always just like praying out loud so everyone can hear me pray. I'm like, that's not why I do that. I try to bring, like we had a prayer before we started these podcasts. Every Tuesday we'd bring a prayer, and I don't care if you're not Christian, you're praying with us. This is what we do, right? And I find that is bringing us closer and asking God to show me his plan. What is it that you want me to do?
Yeah.
Trying to take me out of the equation. It's not always me.
I love that perspective, by the way. Last question. As you work towards 2025, share 3 objectives you have for next year. Rough objectives. Come to your mind.
So first thing, I want to kill my 2021 number if it's possible. I think 2025 would be like one of those years we can break out and actually beat that number, which is a huge hill to kill. I want to build the team out to be everybody successful award winners. That's everybody that sits at this table, that they're all like feasting. I think that is a larger perspective too. Third objective is with the family time. I want to be able to rely on the team to take more control so I can have more time with my family.
Yeah. Time is moving fast. And I remember when we chatted real quick.
My next year, my little one's going to be going into high school. Yeah. And after that next year will be one more year.
It was like January and now it's December.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, but can you believe it's already a wrap? But listen, great chat, DC. Thank you for sharing everything that you shared. The ups and downs, the wins, the future, the optimism. I love it. We want to wish everyone a happy new year. I know 2024 went by like
lightning.
I remember just calling my sisters and brothers, wishing them happy new year because they're in Taiwan, Australia. And wow, looks like it just felt like it was yesterday. I don't know where time went, but I just feel like there's an energy where time is going fast. Happy New Year, everybody. Wish you crushed your goals this year and you have an amazing 2025. And we'll see you back for episode 105 in January. Let's get it. God bless you. Hope you had a great Christmas and Happy New Year. Peace out.